Hi everybody, Simon Gawesworth here, talking to you today about a new salmon line we've got at RIO. Maybe new is not quite the right word, it's an updated, upgraded salmon line from a very, very popular line we've had for many years, and that is the Scandi Body. We've had the Scandi Body for a lot of years. The Scandi Body is basically a Scandi style shooting head that you attach to a running line or a shooting line on the back end, and you attach a tip to the front end. And this is the driver, this is the body that throws the tip. So when you fish a pool and you need to go down a little bit in one section because it's fast, or up a little bit because it's slow, you just change your tip. You don't need a lot of line systems. You don't need two rods and two reels and two lines. Simply you have a Scandi Body system and a selection of tips. As I said, we've had the Scandi Body for a long time. So you might be asking, well, what's new and what's different about it? And there's a number of improvements to this. First, we've made the bodies a little bit longer and the bigger sizes. The sizes for 9 weights and 10 weight rods, 14 and 15 foot rods. The older body was a bit short. People were blowing the anchors, the turnover was too fast, and you didn't have long flight times with those shorter bodies. So we extended those bodies to make a bit longer. It'll give you a better anchor, and when you get a longer flight time, you get more distance. So the first thing is the bodies are a wee bit longer. That's a good move. Second thing about them is that we've come up with different densities. We've always had a floating one, and the floating's great for most conditions, but I'm on the Spey and it's early season. There's snow around, the water's 1 degree, and you don't want to be fishing a floating body in those temperatures. You need to get down. So in high water, in cold conditions, or just in very, very fast pools, you need to get down. And so to supplement the floating body, we have got out a hover and intermediate body. So the back end is a hover density and the front end is an intermediate. That's good, and that's available in 7, 8s, 9s and 10s. And to get down even deeper or in quicker currents or in colder conditions, this has got an intermediate back section with a Sink 3 front end. So 2 new additional density bodies are absolutely fantastic for the spring, summer salmon angler. And also when you get a bit of rain and the river's up and pushing through, you got a lot of current speed, these new density bodies will be a big plus and a big boon for you. These 2 new densities are only available in Ireland and the UK and Scandinavia, by the way. So if you live in those countries, you're fortunate because you can get these bodies for those conditions. In addition to that, we've made it a little bit easier to understand. One of the commonest complaints is that people have a bunch of sinking tips and floating tips and they mix them up and they don't know what goes with what. So guess what we've done at RIO? We've color coded the tips. So the front end of the head has a sleeve color. Blue sleeve is on the 7 and 8s and a gray sleeve is on the 9s and 10s. And on the back end of the tips, we've got the same color coding system. So the 7-8 type tips have got a blue sleeve. So you got blue sleeves on that, you put them together, they all get messed up and they fall around in your tackle bag or in your pockets. When you pull them out, you just look at the color sleeve and you know that they're going to go on the right color sleeve of the body. So that's a very big upgrade and change, a smart move on the RIO's point. And we've always said that these are lines that are designed to be just all-round lines. We use the phrase they have Skagit power and Scandi grace. They're heads that were enough power to throw a Skagit line. If you're heavy flies on the front end, a weighted streamer, a weighted fly, and you need a Skagit tip, a Mo tip or a T tip, there's enough mass in these bodies to throw those. But they got a lot more tapers than your standard Skagit lines. They cast beautifully, they fly gracefully, and so the best tips on them are more of your tapered style tips. And we've had for a long time the 10 foot and 15 foot standard replacement tips, we've called them, and we've upgraded those. They're still single density tips, 10 foot and 15 foot long, but we've gone with that sleeve color system. So your 7s and 8s will have your blue sleeves and your 9-10s will have your gray sleeves, so that's easier to match up. We've got a 20 foot classic tip. That's a brand new tip we just brought out in the 9 weights, the bigger sizes for people with long rods. Again, will go on very well on those 9s and 10 bodies. But really, the best tips on these are the Scandi MDC sink tips. They are 12 foot long, dual density tips, 6 foot of one density and 6 foot another. Absolutely fabulous fishing tips. Or perhaps my favorite of all, in fact, no, perhaps, without doubt, my favorite tip on these new bodies are the 18-foot triple density tips. There's a whole range of different densities. This isn't a video about those tips, but if you're getting this new Elite Scandi body and you want the best casting tips on them, the most versatile, and you've got those longer salmon rods, probably should check out those 18-foot sink tips or the 12-foot sink tips. So that's it from RIO. That is the upgrades from the very popular Scandi body that we've had. As I said, now with a little bit longer lengths, color-coded sleeve, and multiple different densities. So you can get those from your local RIO dealer or check out the information online.